Welcome to another episode of The Rough Cut. It is mid-July right now, and there are still things to discuss. Not too many sporting things, but we can lean towards movies. It's a very big week for movies and music, and there is still some sporting things we can go over, including the World Cup, LeBron's free agency, the third place game that happened yesterday, and maybe some NFL predictions, very early predictions. We'll see if we have time for that. Honestly, the main topic of today is going to be the Odyssey. And that is because Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey did release this weekend, and it is already off to an amazing start. The ratings, the box office, and I've seen it twice, and I am ready to discuss. I have not seen it twice. I've only seen it once. I don't know why I said twice. I'm planning on seeing it twice. Shit. Let's run that back. Ren. Welcome to another episode of The Rough Cut. It is mid-July, and we still have things to discuss. It's not all sports. There are still some sporting things we can go over, but it is the Odyssey release weekend. It is a big weekend for movies, so we are going to be discussing the Odyssey. We can still go over some sporting things, including World Cup finals today, the third place game that happened yesterday, LeBron's free agency, where is he going to go, when is he going to decide. We'll kind of get into all of that. But I think this is kind of, we can call it even the Christopher Nolan episode. That is what I'm going to call it, the Christopher Nolan episode, with some sports, with some music maybe. We'll see what we have time for. But let's get into the important part, the Odyssey. Okay, I've seen this movie opening weekend, opening day, opening night, IMAX, seated, ready to go, and they lived up to all my expectations. Now, I knew a little bit about this story before I had seen the movie. I haven't actually read this entire book. I do plan to be honest now. It made me want to read it more. I kind of had, but I knew about the story just on things I had seen, things I had just looked up long ago, and then I kind of refreshed it recently this year just to remember the story. And it's an amazing story. And it's a big story for Christopher Nolan to take on just because it is a historic, epic poem that you could easily mess up and get criticized for because people take old things like that so seriously, which makes sense in a way, and also is like, let's let Christopher Nolan be the trustworthy person to take on this type of story. We shouldn't have ever doubted him. I don't know why people were so skeptical. And yeah, there's still going to be people that do not like it because not everything is for everyone. But I kind of think the people that are hating on it are just hating on it because of the love it is getting. And that's just, the world we live in, unfortunately. People like to shut things down that are doing well. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to tell you how I thought, what I thought. If there was anything maybe I didn't like, we'll see if I can even think of anything. But let's pretty much get into it. I'm going to try not to spoil too much, but actually, I am going to spoil it. So if you want to watch The Odyssey and you have not seen it yet, tune away, come back, or fast forward, and then see where I'm at. I don't know. I didn't put timestamps in here, so can't really tell you when to fast forward to. But out of my 7 or 8 subscribers, I think a lot of them have seen it, so let's get into it. The performance, the casting, the directing, the story that was told was fantastic. I loved everything about it. It was beautiful. It was amazing storytelling. It was amazing acting, and I feel like they executed it so well. Matt Damon, right up there with one of his best performances ever, I think. I think the awards are going to show that immensely. I think it's definitely going to come down to Odyssey and Dune. 3 kind of taking up a lot of the awards this year. Marvel movies don't, usually get a ton of love in the awards, and so those are probably out. I think that Obsession will definitely win a lot of awards as well. There might be the big 3 right there. I was going to kind of go over just the Nolan movies ranked, where this fits in among those, where I think what I haven't seen from Nolan that I hope to see. And so, yeah, that's why this is kind of the Nolan episode. So, I'm going to go over the ones I haven't seen first. So, his first movie, The Following, 1998, haven't seen that one. Again, I plan to see all these at some point. We'll see what I get to. Memento, have not seen that one either. I think I started at one point, kind of got a little bored early on. I know he had, obviously things written on him, and I kind of get the idea of the movie. I just haven't fully tuned into it. We'll see if I get to it. And then Insomnia, didn't see that either. That's the one with Al Pacino. So his first three movies he made, I actually have not seen. But then starting with Batman Begins, which is kind of crazy. He went The Following, Memento, Insomnia, and then he was just given the Batman trilogy, the Dark Knight trilogy. They were just like, this is yours. Batman Begins, 2005, which seems crazy that came out 21 years ago. But it did. Great, great origin story of Batman. Probably my favorite Batman origin story. I love the way they told it. Obviously, the acting in that was great. You had Liam Neeson. For some reason, I could not think of his name. Nolan movies are always cast perfectly, I believe. Well, maybe not perfectly, but A plus, A minus, in that range. It's in the 8 range for sure. And if you disagree, then again, I think you're kind of just a hater. And then between Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, he made The Prestige, which I did see somewhat recently and was very surprised at how much I did enjoy that movie. It's like old-timey magic with a little bit of twisty thriller kind of mystery. Very, very good movie. You have Christian Bale, you have Hugh Jackman. Again, great cast. Very good movie. Then he went into The Dark Knight, obviously, probably, depending on who you ask, I think the peak of that Batman trilogy. The Dark Knight Rises is also one that people may put up there as the number one. I think The Dark Knight, just with Heath Ledger's performance alone, probably takes that above to the top. And also, imagine what would have happened if Heath Ledger was still alive. The amount of Nolan movies he would have probably been in and putting on A-plus performances would have been something very special. I'm glad we got one movie with him, but damn, he probably would have been in a lot of these and featured very heavily. So, R.I.P. Heath. So yeah, Dark Knight 2008. Then in between Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises, he also releases another banger, Inception, which I will always remember where I was when I first saw that. I was incredibly confused. I don't even know what I really just watched, but I know I really liked it. And I've seen it multiple times since then, and there's still some confusing parts. I'm able to kind of follow it a little more. It is still a very confusing story, but it's very Nolan-esque and just a banger that you could go back to. Again, the cast with Leo leading in that one. Then you have Joseph Gordon-Levitt. You have whatever that person's name is. I kind of am blanking on names right now. I mean, I know you got Tom Hardy. Why can't I think of he was in Odyssey as well. I don't remember her or his name. But yeah, Inception, fantastic. Then you go Dark Knight Rises, the end of the trilogy, banger. Obviously, throw Anne Hathaway in there. You got another Tom Hardy appearance in there, another Joseph Gordon-Levitt, another Christian Bale. He likes using the same cast, and honestly, why not? Because it's clearly working. Then he goes Interstellar, which is a lot of people's favorite Nolan movie. Also, in all of these, you have to remember the score, the sound. I mean, he's just building a profile of banger movies. So he goes Interstellar. You got McConaughey, you got Chalamet a little bit, you got Jessica Chastain, you got Anne Hathaway again. And this, again, is a beautiful, beautiful movie. I'm not the biggest space sci-fi type movie person, but like this is one of the best space movies you can find. It's sad, it's thrilling, it's adventurous, makes you think about life in a different type of perspective, in a cool way. So that one's obviously very good. Then we go 2017, has a little 3-year break, releases Dunkirk, one of the ones I have not seen. I've been wanting to see it for a long time, just have not seen it. It is on my list. I hope to see it. I believe it would be really good. I'm not the biggest like war fan movie sometimes, but if you can make a war movie well, then obviously it's going to be a good movie. You know, kind of crazy concept. If you're good at making movies, it's going to be a good movie. One. All right, then we go 2020, Tenet. I remember where I was when I watched that. I went to the theaters during COVID. I went to a different state to watch that movie. and I left going, I don't really know what I just saw, and I haven't seen it again. It was like Inception level confusing, maybe even to a different level, I think, of confusing, but I don't think the movie was that good. Um, I don't think it was his worst movie. Again, there's other movies I haven't seen, so probably based on the ones I have seen, it is probably the worst one. But this is when he brings in Robert Pattinson, who's kind of becomes part of his cast now that he's used. But it was just a very confusing movie. Maybe one day I'll watch it again. I still don't think I'll understand it, truthfully. Again, it's Inception level confusing, but not as good of a movie. So you kind of aren't willing to understand it as much because you're like, I'm going to spend 2.5 more hours watching this movie just to not completely understand it. And it's not that great of a movie. We'll see if I give it another shot. Maybe people think differently about Tenet. I think overall, people kind of have said that's not his best work. But, to each their own. Then you go 2023, and his last two have obviously been probably his biggest movies just based on box office scale. So you go Oppenheimer, you have Cillian Murphy running that. You still have a Matt Damon appearance, you have an Emily Blunt appearance, you got Robert Pattinson in that. You have a all-star cast again, and it's probably his biggest production movie, and it's just about a historical event that is probably, it's just a very hard event to tell a story about in a way that respects what happened and tells it in a correct way. And I do think he did it well. I've only seen that movie once, saw opening night, and I did not like it, truthfully. I think there maybe were reasons for that, but I need to check back in on that. I still don't think it's one of my favorite. I don't think it will ever be one of my favorites, but I do think it's probably better than what I thought it was at the time. So I'll probably tap back into that at some point. Then we lead us to the Odyssey. This year, here it comes. Watched it, loved it. 5 out of 5. Loved it. Casting, great. Story, great. The way the story was told, amazing. The way they included the gods, the Greek gods, in the story without having to show them, but you feel their impact, amazing. Recency bias, possibly, but this is my favorite Nolan movie I have seen. And I have a little ranking right here. So if we go from the ones I've seen, I'm going to put the Dark Knight trilogy as 1. So I think there's 7 then, if you include that as 1 that I have seen. So I haven't seen Following, Memento, Insomnia, or Dunkirk. So there's 4 of his movies I have not seen. So starting from 7, it's Tenet. Then we go 6. This might be a hot take for some people. I put Oppenheimer. That's just my thinking. Now we go top 5. The Prestige, loved it. Maybe more than others. I really, really enjoyed that movie. I think it's a top 5 Nolan movie. I think it's an underrated movie at this point. Loved it. Number 4, Interstellar. Again, some people have that as their number 1 movie of all time. This is my top 4 Nolan movies. So again, people may come in not loving that ranking, but it is what it is. It's still a great movie. A Nolan list, there's not really a bad movie on the list. It's just an order of how I saw it. Number 3, Inception, which used to be number 1. And honestly, sometimes can flip and flop with number 2, which is the Dark Knight trilogy. And yes, it is a trilogy. It is a very well put together trilogy. It is an amazing story of Batman from origin story to the end. And then obviously you have the Batman that comes out with Robert Pattinson. Tells a little bit different of a story. There's not as much of like an origin showing of it, but it's darker. It's kind of more Batman-esque. I actually think it's probably a better version of Batman than the Christian Bale version, but it was Nolan. It was cool. It's a classic. And so Dark Knight trilogy, number 2. And then honestly, truthfully, the Odyssey is number 1. I'm telling you, I loved this movie. It scratched my brain in every way. It was a 3-hour movie that flew by because it was just going. It was kind of, very different type of movies, but it reminded me of like Infinity War in a way, where it's a long movie, but from start to end, it kind of just goes. And you're like scene to scene to scene to scene, and the story being told is incredible. I think it's about the hour waypoint when you have Tom Holland's character. He goes to see John Bernthal's character, which let's talk about that. I'm just to get a little sidetracked. Not sidetracked, but just continue off that. Tom Holland's character, it's an all-star cast. And I'm a big Tom Holland guy just because I love Spider-Man. and this was a big like movie for him, something he hadn't really been in before, and he had a big part. I do think he was probably the worst actor in the movie. Again, not say it's hard to say that without sounding critical. I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just you were going against an all-star, and you were still an all-star. You were just the lowest of the all-stars. But when him and Bernthal were on camera together, I thought that was when he was at his best. And I don't know if that's because they had worked together before, if they were filming Spider-Man kind of at the same time, so maybe they were building like a rapport. But I thought when he was in scenes with Anne Hathaway, I thought Anne Hathaway kind of kicked his ass in just acting ways. And again, that's Anne Hathaway, and she's an all-star, and she put on a phenomenal performance. But when they were kind of like having scenes together, I feel like she definitely showed a little more prowess, a little more skill. She kind of overpowered him. Whereas I feel like him and Bernthal had a very good chemistry, and maybe it is because they worked together before, but I kind of felt it on screen like they had a good connection, and that was when he was at his best. But back to the story. So when he goes to Bernthal, and then he tells him about Odysseus, and when they were in the Trojan horse. Once that scene starts, I think that's about an hour into the movie. I mean, then we're off. They get to the walls of Troy. You see the person they left behind who gets killed, and then they're right in the horse with them, and then they get dragged into Troy, and the way they escape and the way they silently like start assassinating the Trojans, and then they open the gates, and the way he drops the lantern and it shows the rest of them. It is, and then Agamemnon, sorry, I know I'm pronouncing that wrong. For some reason, it's weird for me to say, but Benny Safdie, crazy character to kind of play for that, because he's not really that intimidating of a person, I guess, but then his character is very intimidating because of the suit he has on, and it kind of, he also walks into the gates of Troy as like, I'm that guy, but I'm going to let everyone else kind of do the killing, where I'm just going to stand here and aura farm a little bit, which he did. But then he got back home, and when he took all his armor off and he was kind of vulnerable and being welcomed back, he was at his weakest point, and that's when he got killed. And it's almost like that suit kind of represented who he was as a person. Like, it kind of, the suit like was, it was filling up so much of his like insecurities, I guess, you know? I don't know, I just feel like he wasn't like that powerful of a person himself, but the suit kind of showed his power. And but then when he went into war, everyone else was kind of doing the killing, and he was just there like, I'm him. But then when that suit came off is when he was vulnerable and he got killed. I don't know if any of that made sense. In my head it kind of did, but I think that was a cool casting of the character, because the character of Agamemnon was like kind of soft, but showed that he wasn't soft. But then when his suit was off, it ultimately killed him in the end. So just very cool scenes. But once it kind of went into there, it was just go. You went to Hades, you kind of he talked to the spirits there, and then from there you also kind of just went through the tales of the Odyssey. So obviously you had the whirlpool, you had the man-eating monster, you had the sirens, which is a very cool scene. The way they like had the wax in their ears, but then you saw Matt Damon's character very struggling to escape, and then they like kind of have it muffled sound. I thought that was a very cool way of showing the siren song. And then obviously Ludwig's score comes in, and it's like the perfect sound to show that scene. I thought that was incredible. And then his speech after of like, it's that scratch that's under your skin, it's everything that you've wanted but everything you can't have, stuff like that. I thought that was very cool. And then obviously he makes his return to Ithaca. Charlize Theron's character on as Calypso was very cool. I just thought the way they told the story was really cool. And it was just an awesome movie. It was one of those movies that, I mean, we've been waiting for a long time, and it's just Nolan, you have the best director, you have an amazing cast, and then you have this kind of budget to tell a story like this in the right way. And the way he used CGI very little was so impressive. I mean, the whole Cyclops scene, incredible. The fact that I was like a puppet, and it was like Bill Irwin playing that character was crazy. It was just an amazing movie. I don't think anyone could have pulled that off in the way Nolan did at all. I think it could have turned out to be one of those other kind of Spartan, Trojan kind of movies that just fall a little bit flat. I mean, even like Troy with Brad Pitt was kind of that same type of thing, but it just doesn't hit the same. It just feels a little cheesier, where this felt like, whoa, this is epic. And so I'm very, very happy with how this came out. It exceeded my expectations. It was an incredible film, and I hope everyone else enjoyed it as much as me, at least. I mean, it's an amazing movie, and if you kind of hate on that, then that sucks. I would suck to not enjoy a movie like that. So I hope everyone enjoyed that. Moving on to, actually, first off, really quick, the trailers for the Odyssey. There was one that really stuck out to me, and it was the movie about making the movie Rocky. I think that movie's gonna be really good, and that's my type of movie. It's like a biopic on making a movie that I already love. I think that's gonna be great. So looking forward to that. All right, moving on to sports a little bit, just because it is World Cup final day. As a Ronaldo guy, I kind of hate to say it, even though I don't hate to say it, because I don't really care about soccer that much, so it doesn't like hurt me that much. But the GOAT, Messi, is playing today to try to win back-to-back World Cups. And after winning the one in 2022, it kind of established him as that greatest of all time. And if he wins another one at this age, based on what he's doing too, based on what he did in the, what do you call it, semifinal, quarterfinal, semifinal, I think it's semifinal, that pass he had to hit that header to come back against England, incredible. Now, Spain has been playing crazy well. I believe they've allowed 1 goal the entire tournament, so their defense is incredible. We'll see how that will play out. I kind of feel like Spain is the better team, but Messi is also just one of those guys that it might be inevitable. He might just be able to get it done. And if he does, he's one of the greatest, I think, sporting athletes of all time. He's already the greatest soccer player ever, but he's climbing the list of just like athletes of all time. And the fact it feels like he's getting better somehow in his late 30s is crazy, especially on a stage like this. And so just as a fan of greatness, I do hope that Argentina honestly gets it done. Hopefully it's a good game. Maybe a little different than that third place game that was yesterday against France and England, where it was 4-0 in the first half by England. Then all of a sudden France comes out in the second half and scores 3. They honestly could have had way more. They missed a lot of opportunities. They probably should have taken the lead like 6-4, but then England gets a couple late ones. They have that free kick. Bellingham comes in late, gets another just chipper. I feel like there was a lot of just like nonchalant playing. I mean, it is a third place game. It's kind of weird they have third place games, I guess. I mean, imagine like in the NBA, you go to the conference finals and the losers of each conference finals like play a series. I don't feel like they would care as much. Like, why are we playing for third place? I don't know. So we'll see if that I don't know. We'll see if that's something that, I guess it will keep up. I don't know why I'm saying we'll see if that's something that they keep, because I think that'll always be a thing, a third place game. But it just feels kind of pointless, especially after that. Even though it was kind of entertaining, but 6-4 for soccer, that's kind of wild. And then LeBron free agency. I think he will probably announce it after today, either tomorrow. I think it definitely will come this week, just because the World Cup will be over. He'll kind of have time to dominate the headlines. I think he's going to the Heat. I think he should go to the Heat. I think going to the East, and just the way that team's built, they would have defense already. He would be able to do his thing, honestly. I think he'd be able to be the most LeBron-type LeBron out of any team he could go to, that he could still have the chance to win on. Could he go to Golden State and still play a very good role? Yes, but I don't think they're going to win anything. As much as I would love them to, as much fun as that would be to see Steph and LeBron just play their final years together, I think that would be incredible TV and incredible watch. I don't see any way they can build a team around that can compete in the West with the Thunder and the Spurs and the Nuggets. I just don't see how that could be a thing. If he's going to go to the West, I think he would either go to the Spurs, which I don't think he's going to do, but I do think that would be cool. Although they do have guards already, they do have kind of ball handlers, so they'd probably have to get rid of Fox, which they should probably do anyway. I don't think he's going to go to the Spurs. I think him and Wemby would be fun together, though, because I think he would know how to play with Wemby and just be like, give him the ball, throw it up to him. He would just kind of know how to play. Or, if you're going to stay in the West, go to the Nuggets. which maybe people don't think is a good idea. I think him and Jokic together would just be very, very fun to watch. Two of the smartest players in the league. Some of the passes you'd probably see would be incredible. I don't think he's going to do that. I don't think he's going to go to the West. If he does go to the West, I do think it is Golden State. Just because, truthfully, that would be fun for him. That would be a fun experience. Probably play with Steph, play with Draymond, play with his buds, still live in California, have a good time. I just don't think that's going to win you any championships. And truthfully, I'm not 100% sure if anyone really knows what is attracting him the most at this point in his career. Is it playing time? Is it being able to play freely? Is it winning a 5th championship? Is it money? I'm not sure. Miami, obviously no state tax. It's going to be way cheaper than California, but you're moving across the country away from your family. Although it could be for 1 year, I think it'd be fine. I think going to Miami is the best all around. I think you're in the East. You'd have the best chance to win in the East. I think with Giannis and Bam, and obviously they'd probably have to build a little more. They'd have to get shooters around them. I think they'd be able to fill it in, especially if they got a team like that. We'll see. I think Miami. I've said Miami since the beginning. I think that's where he should go. I don't know why I don't think Cleveland is even really on the... maybe I shouldn't say not on the table. It's definitely on the table. I just don't think you should go back to Cleveland. I don't think that gets it done. Even if Harden isn't there and he goes there, then you have Donovan Mitchell and Mobley and Jared Allen. It's a good team. I just don't think that is what gets them there. I think Miami is honestly a better fit. I know they have a less dense roster. The bench isn't as good, but he's been there before. He kind of knows how to play with Spoelstra. Him and Giannis, I think, would be fantastic together. So that's what I think he should do. I think that is what he will do. I think Miami is the number one choice. If it's the East, I think if he goes to the West, it's Golden State. We'll see. Obviously, Cleveland is very, very likely an option as well. But I'm calling it right now, Miami. You heard it here first. Miami. That's an M. All right. Well, I spent most of this episode on the Odyssey. I wouldn't say this is one of my better episodes. I feel like I stumbled a bit. There it was, right there, stumbling. But hey, this is what we do. This is the rough cut. I'm not cutting anything yet because it's just me and my dog, which I don't know where she went. She's not here today. She knew this episode wasn't going to be a banger. It's the off season. It's the off season. Let's chill out. But watch the Odyssey. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you liked it. I'm probably going to read this book and see what other things happen, because I think a lot of people read books and then watch the movie and then are disappointed that the movie is not as good as the book, when obviously they're not going to be able to fit everything from a book into the movie. I think you should watch the movie, and if you really like the movie, then read the book, because then you're already going to like the book, but it's going to give you more information. It's like you get the movie with more scenes in it, and you already liked the movie. So I think I'm going to like this book even more now, instead of reading it beforehand and then watching the movie and being like, oh, they left this out, they left this out, they left him having a kid with Calypso out. Whereas now I can read this book and be like, holy shit, it's the exact same thing, which is awesome, with even more information. So that's my advice to you book readers. If you're going to watch a movie based on a book, watch the movie first, then read the book. Then you won't be as disappointed. So just a little advice, All right, well, I will be back when news happens, maybe later this week when LeBron finds a team, when the end of the World Cup happens. Maybe I'll see the Odyssey again, let you know what I think. There's other movies coming out, obviously Spider-Man soon. And I hope you all have a fantastic week and a fantastic rest of your weekend. Namaste. Rough cut out.